Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. I want to play a clip. This guy's a friend of mine. His name is Ed Martin. That's from St. Louis. He's run for quite a few offices. He now works at Eagle Forum, and he's a, they call it a contributor at CNN. And Ed's on a lot, and he's a nice guy. He's an affable guy. He's an attorney, and has a practice there in St. Louis. I don't know what type, corporate, I think, and a sharp guy. But when I listen to guys like Ed do interviews, it drives me crazy. I want to play this interview, not to embarrass Ed, but to say that how you could handle this situation. And I want you to see how it spirals, how the person takes what Ed says, spins it, and he doesn't come back hard enough. Now, what you won't see is he's in a panel discussion, and it's a 4-panel, the host and 3 other people, and they've got it cut into 4 squares. And Ed is shaking his head when she's talking, but he doesn't interrupt. He doesn't say that's absolute nonsense. He just tries to fight with the high road. And I'm going to show you. You tell me how effective you think this is. But here he is.
Well, as I've said before, first of all, there's 2 things that are in conflict. One, I've said from the beginning, I don't know the women to say that they're not telling the truth. So I don't know how I could know that, and I don't think most people do. The second thing is you and every other major news outlet have said that Al Franken is okay to go to the ethics committee to get an investigation. Why is that? I haven't said it.
Don't do that, Ed.
Well, CNN has. Everyone has. They've said that's a proper venue for something to happen. I agree with you. It won't be much in Al Franken's case, but why should the people of Alabama have to listen to people tell them what the facts are when they can't judge? They know Roy Moore. They know the people. I mean, they're going to make a vote on that, right?
Go ahead, Hillary.
Well, this is the problem of this kind of false equivalency, and I think, honestly, the Democrats screwed this up with Al Franken. But the fact that you justify saying that Roy Moore, who these women were credible, they were public, they have nothing to gain. And by the way, they were Republicans, still are Republicans. The fact that you say, well, it's okay for Roy Moore to be in the Senate because Al Franken is still there is just appalling. And
I didn't say that.
That's literally what the Republicans have done. Mitch McConnell and Cory Gardner, the chair of the Republican campaign committee, said just 2.5 weeks ago that he should not be in the Senate. And what happens yesterday? We need a vote for tax reform. We need votes. That's disgusting. The idea that Mitch McConnell walked back his claim that Roy Moore should not be in the Senate and then gave the president permission somehow to do the same thing. You guys should be ashamed of yourself to suggest that because Al Franken put his hand on a woman's ass, that Roy Moore should also be in the Sorry.
I never said that.
You should be ashamed of that.
I never said that. So
it's cable. Don't act like that actually hurts your feelings. Go on.
Look, I think that I'm ashamed that on national TV you'd use that kind of language. All I've said was that from the very beginning I've used the same.
Let me just be clear. Let me just be clear. You can actually say that.
By the way, it's not okay to do. It's okay to say.
That's not what Al Franken did. The pictures show something different.
Listen, I am not defending Al Franken, but you sure shouldn't defend Roy Moore.
Well, listen, I'm saying that in the people of Alabama, 5 weeks before an election, are treated to a litany of people who say one thing. And by the way, you're not telling the truth, Hillary, when you say that all of the people who accused him have been credible. There have been people who have been shown to not be credible. And all I've said from the beginning is we can't tell who's telling the truth, but we can let the people vote. And then, as you and others have said about Al Franken, let the thing go forward after that. We'll see.
Okay, I got to stop it there. I mean, it pretty much ended. But there's so many things I want to talk to you about with respect to how you debate on the left. I can't debate over there because I'm, with Fox. But I will just tell you, all Ed Martin said was, you don't know the facts. And he didn't have to say another word. You don't know the facts. I would say to that lady, what do you know? What do you know about these women? You explain to me. Were you there? Do you know somebody that was there? Explain to me how you are so sure that this happened. Because let me tell you something. I saw Al Franken. I saw what he did on a graphic. Now, personally, is it worth him losing his seat over? I'm not going to be the judge of that. Other women have come forward. He's now admitted to it. So that's the evidence there. But you tell me what you know definitively, and I want to know right now. But no, they go down this path. False equivalency. She says the Democrats screwed up with Franken. But she says but to justify and that Moore should be in the Senate based on Franken is appalling. And that's not what he did. I would have interrupted her immediately and said, I'm going to stop you right there. You're lying on national TV. That's not what I said. What I said is, you explain to me how you know what these women, whether they're guilty or innocent. You explain it. You explain to me how you know whether Roy Moore is guilty or innocent. So I'm just, if you is as appalled as you are and wanting to believe these women, I could be just as appalled on the Roy Moore side, saying, how can you accuse somebody of something which you have absolutely no evidence? So you defend that. Now, I've already talked about this earlier in the broadcast. We are on a slippery slope. I already talked about this, but it's worthy of hearing again. The Muslim community says it takes two women to negate what one man say. So in other words, if a man rapes a woman and that's all she's got is her evidence, so what? Now, if women want to live in a world like that, where men can go around doing whatever they want, and they say, do you have a second witness? No, I don't. Well, then it didn't happen. Shame on them. Because I'll be doggone if I'm a man and I'm going to live in a world where a woman says, Kevin did this to her. And I go, I did no such thing. And I have no way to defend myself except my word. Because let me tell you something. My word should be good enough. You want to give me video? You want to have some audio? You want to send them some faxes or emails or whatever? Maybe so. But if you just want to say, well, you said this or that. And then when Ed Martin says, well, look at the evidence. What evidence? Some of these women are not credible. That's not true. Gloria Allred still hasn't produced that photo album or whatever, the yearbook that Roy Moore supposedly signed. And you want to know why? Because it's fake. And Ed didn't come back and explain that. See, this is why I don't like when people, quote, debate on our behalf as conservatives. Did he lose the argument? Not necessarily, but he doggone sure didn't win it. And then he goes into, oh, well, you just said that language. Look, I can say the word on the radio. I won't do it. I'll say but. But the fact of the matter is that was the least of the concerns. I'd say the only person making a butt out of herself is you right now, because you have no evidence. What you're trying to say to America and the world is a woman must be believed over a man. Why? You explain to me why. When is somebody going to start standing up for the rights of everybody? If you're going to accuse somebody of something, you should be held to the standard of proving it. Isn't that what our jurisprudence system is built on? Innocent until proven guilty? Oh, well, it's the sheer number. Oh, wow. So what have we learned in Democrat politics? You know what they do? They go out and they pay people to say things. That's what they do. And I would have confronted her. I'd say, you know what your party does? You go out and you, by the way, your gender, you go out and you pay people to say things. You act as if you're all sanctimonious, but you're the ones out there strutting your stuff for people. And then you want to proclaim that there's a women's movement. Well, you can't have it both ways, sister. And that's what I would have said.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.